The leader's job is not to do all of these three functions. Have you ever wondered why many nations fail? Have you ever wondered why many wealthy nations, oil-rich nations, nations that are blessed with human resource, mineral resource, and many other kinds of resources fail? And whenever I think about this, it always makes me wonder. Interestingly, many years ago, out of curiosity, I went ahead and I got a book, and that book was titled Why Nations Fail. And so today I'm going to be talking about why nations fail. And before I begin, the book I bought that was titled Why Nations Fail, I never read it actually. But today I'm going to be sharing some really powerful things with you that will help you understand why many nations fail. Now, the number one reason why many nations fail is because of a failure in leadership. And because of a failure in leadership, many nations that have potential for greatness have failed. Now, what do I mean when I say a failure in leadership? Before we can really understand what it means to have failed leadership, we actually have to first of all understand what leadership is. And so I'm going to be explaining the concept of leadership to you in a way that you would understand. And in order to do that, I'm going to break down three popular definitions made by three thought leaders. The first one is John Maxwell. The other thought leader I'm going to make reference to is Myron Golding. And then I'm also going to make reference to Myles Monroe. All these different thought leaders have said some really interesting things about leadership. John Maxwell defines leadership as influence. He says leadership is influence. Myron Golding defines leadership as the ability to create in others the desire to follow you, which is really profound. And then Myles Monroe defines leadership as the ability and the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by a passion, generated by a vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by a purpose. Now, I want you to tell me in the comment section which of these three definitions from these three thought leaders really hit you. Which of these three definitions appeal to you the most? For me, the one that really hit me is the one by Myles Monroe. Myles Monroe speaks about 5 different components that makes leadership what it is. And it talks about leadership being the ability to influence others through inspiration, and that inspiration is generated by a passion, and then that passion is produced by a vision, and that vision is generated by a conviction, and that conviction is ignited by a purpose. So this is really profound. So influence, inspiration, passion, vision, conviction, and purpose. So these 5 components are what makes a very good and effective leader. Now, the reason why many nations fail is because many leaders fail, right? And because many leaders fail, many societies fail. Now, why do many leaders fail? The reason why many leaders fail is because of 2 things. And the first thing is because of a lack of character and a lack of creativity, right? So I'm going to explain what I mean when I say a lack of character and a lack of creativity. Now, the 2 biggest problems in nations in the world is either a problem of misappropriation of funds, a problem of corruption, right? And corruption is a result of lack of character. And then the other problem that many nations face is the problem of a lack of ability to leverage resources, mismanagement or wastage of resources. And this is where creativity comes in. Now, why do I say that creativity helps in leadership? First of all, we want to understand the goal of leadership. If we have defined that leadership is the ability to influence others through inspiration, generated by passion, produced by a vision, and motivated by a conviction, it means there's a goal. There's a goal every leader should be trying to achieve when in leadership. It's so unfortunate that many leaders today, they see leadership as just a position to occupy. They see leadership as something you do when you assume a role. But leadership is much more than that. So if we understand that leadership goes beyond just occupying a position or bearing a title, then you understand that every leader is selected, every leader is chosen, every leader is appointed, every leader is anointed to achieve a goal. And that goal, the number one goal of leadership, is to solve problems, right? The number one goal of leadership is to solve problems. So, number one goal of leadership being to solve problems. Now, if the number one goal of leadership is to solve problems, it means that every leader needs to be creative, because creativity is a prerequisite for problem solving. Now, most leaders fail because they lack the ability to solve problems. And why do they lack the ability to solve problems? It doesn't mean they have to have the answers to all the problems, but what makes a leader effective is his ability to figure out ways that he can leverage the tools at his disposal to solve the problems before him. So those things that he would leverage could be money, could be resources, could be people, could be relationships, whatever it is. Every leader's job is to be able to solve problems using the tools at his disposal. So if you're listening to this and you've ever found yourself in a place where you had to solve problems, it means you are a leader, because leadership starts with you. So the reason why many nations fail is because many leaders fail. And the reason why many leaders fail is because they lack character and they lack creativity. The reason why many leaders lack creativity is because they don't know the goal of leadership is to solve problems. How? By influencing others. You influence others to solve problems. And how do you influence others to solve problems? How do you influence others to solve problems? You influence them through inspiration, and that's why every leader must be a great communicator, must be able to influence people with the use of words, to inspire them with his vision, to communicate his passion to people who listen to him or people who look to him for solutions. Now, let's say this is a leader, and this leader has 3 people under him, or 3 people that he needs to lead, and these 3 people have their different functions. Let's say this one is supposed to be in charge of sales, this one is supposed to be in charge of IT, and this one is supposed to be in charge of customer service, right? The leader's job is not to do all of these 3 functions, but the leader's job is to be able to influence these people by inspiring them with words, by inspiring them in such a way that these people's problem solving skills will be activated, their creativity will be activated to try to solve the problems in their respective departments. And when they solve the problems in their respective departments, collectively, they will help the leader achieve the goal and the vision that he's pursuing. And so if you're a leader, one of your primary responsibilities is to ignite the creativity in your followers, so that they are able to deploy their creative problem-solving skills in their respective departments, and so that collectively, the overall problem that the leader is trying to solve will be achieved, will be solved. Solutions for that problem will be created if necessary, so that the leader ultimately will be able to achieve his goal. I'll give you an example. When Steve Jobs wanted to start the Apple company, he had a vision, right? But he needed to inspire people to want to follow him to solve that problem that he had envisioned. And one of the things he did was to communicate that idea. He had a friend named Steve Wozniak, who was a talented engineer. He was able to persuade his friend to join him to build that company, along with other people that he brought into the company at that time. And so this is basically the job of every effective leader, to be able to communicate their vision, communicate their passion, communicate their conviction to the people that they want to lead to a destination or to the people that he needs to help him solve a problem that he has set out to solve. Any leader who understands how to leverage character and creativity in his journey of leadership will always succeed. And so if you are listening to this today and you are curious about why nations fail, I believe that today you found your answers. Nations fail because leaders fail, and leaders fail because of a lack of character and because of a lack of creativity. And so as a leader or a potential leader, you want to build your character and develop your creative skills. Your creative skills in leading people towards following you, in leading people towards solving problems in their respective departments, and leading people towards achieving their own dreams. I hope this blessed you. Thank you for listening to this. Feel free to share this with your friends and loved ones if it blessed you. Have a good one and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.